What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday night. It is midnight so we'll call this the Midwest Midnight. Nah, for real though, this is uh, just to come up with, being that it's Monday and not my usual Sunday show, first live in a while. I'm not really nervous. Don't normally have guests, so no reason to be nervous to helm a show solo. Hey, Antonis, how you doing, my friend? But this is something I'm just going to call Monday Night Macabre because, as you guys know, I love alliteration and wordplay. I go nuts on that shit. Uh, Late Night with Uncle Filthy is what we're calling this episode because there's a flick we'll be talking about in a little thing that I might do as sort of a thing to be a regular part of the show. Recent watches, where just sort of not really a whole review, just talking briefly about some films that I recently watched, whether it's a rewatch or a first time watch. And one of the films that we'll be discussing, I might have some late night themology going on there. Is themology a word? Who knows? I don't know for sure. Uh, but yeah, how's everybody doing? Uh, it's 11 o'clock here where I'm at, so we're not quite at midnight. Uh, but yes, this is a little midnight special. Again, Monday Night Macabre. Love that word. It's absolutely confusing to look at. But there's a couple updates too that I want to sort of get out of the way before we really get the whole show going on. For those of you who were in attendance for the 420 special for Dazed and Confused over at the Movie Misfits channel, you guys may have heard me mention near the end of that programming that the Dog Screams short film is going to be pushed forward just a little bit. Going to be delaying that one. Just not happy with the footage that I have shot right now, and more so my performance as an actor in the project. Just not that wasn't really working out as well as I thought it was, but definitely still going to happen. Going to relocate the filming of that to Denver, so that way shooting will be able to take place in a more densely populated area. Also, it'll be much easier to find performers to bring on board for that project. Uh, so that's a little speed bump there. And I figure it'll be easier to actually direct people as opposed to trying to direct myself and a whole cast. Hey, Chris, how you doing, sir? You're going to be getting a couple little calls out on this show here. Of course, those are never a bad thing when Uncle Filthy is at the helm. Uh, but yeah, wow, man, small crowd, but you know what? I absolutely love it. I sometimes prefer that. I will say, always happier with the 3 to 4 regulars who show up, as opposed to a crowd of faces that I have no idea whom they are. I'm not nervous, but there's no guest. Also, anyway, that out of the way, let's get into what we're here to talk about. Some recent watches to start the show off. Again, some of these are going to be films that were first time watches, some are revisits. We'll start here with the one that I took the name of the episode from Late Night with the Devil. Now, this is one that, I don't know, from what I understand, people either loved it or hated it. This is one that I went into as blind as possible with. The concept was very interesting it's basically a recording of a late night talk show from the 70s. And if you grew up in a certain period too, like after 10 p.m., there was only so much on television. Late night talk shows were one such thing. And I liked that idea. And I like films that always have that little demonic edge to them. Sometimes the supernatural films feel a little played out. This was a very fresh take on that. Like, it even it even almost plays on the found footage thing just a little bit. But Late Night with the Devil is a film that I found to be absolutely brilliant. You have these actors that we don't really know all that well over here in the States, and you have them in this film that is supposed to be a captured broadcast of a live TV special from 1977, I believe. And it just plays on that late 70s satanic panic. And it does so in such a brilliant way. This film is still pretty damn new, so I don't want to go too into spoilers or anything on that. I would definitely advise anyone out there who has a Shudder account to go and check out Late Night with the Devil. It's a film that I found to be not only entertaining, but it was actually pretty unsettling come the end of it, and even throughout the middle. It does play with the idea also of secret societies, sort of hints at that a little bit. I definitely screamed at the screen like, that's going to be involved in some way, some big way. They're not just saying that to brush under the rug and forget about, Chekhov's gun, baby. Chekhov's gun. Uh, but yeah, Late Night with the Devil, I definitely give a 4 out of 5 on. It definitely made me feel a little uncomfortable by the end of it. So for that, it definitely deserves its kudos. And there was another one I watched on Shudder afterward. This one just had an interesting enough premise for me to check out. It's called Cemetery Man from 1994. It's an Italian film starring English actor Rupert Everett. Those of you 90s kids may recognize him from Inspector Gadget as Dr. Claw. He was also the voice of Prince Charming in Shrek 2 and 3. Maybe the fourth one, I don't know. But this was an interesting one because basically this guy works at a cemetery and his job is to kill those dead people who are rising from the dead. He's basically a zombie exterminator, but he's also an undertaker. Absolute off the wall concept. And he falls in love with this widow, and he's got this weird relationship with the living and the dead, and it really plays into the character quite a bit. It's definitely a mental mindfuck of a film, and another one that I think people should be checking out. This one, again, being that it's an Italian film, it catches my eye almost right away. Della Morte Dell'Amore, I think, was the original name for the film. Definitely one I advise you guys to look at. Definitely, again, it's sort of a character study, plays on the supernatural. It's got gore, sex, guns, gore, and definitely plays with the whole thing of the exploration into madness, which, as you guys know, is something that I really enjoy as an idea. So, Cemetery Man, that is also a 4-star film for me. Check that one out if you guys can. Very, very interesting picture there. And the last first watch in the last couple of days was Silent Night from 2012, the sort of remake to Silent Night, Deadly Night. Now, this is one that when I went to watch it, like I bought it just to complete the collection because I had the first 5, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'll get this one too. Only thing I know I might like is Malcolm McDowell. This one was actually pretty entertaining. Usually I'm sort of on the fence as to whether remakes are going to be good or bad. It's like I always go into them with that sort of trepidation. This is one I went into like really expecting, it's going to suck balls real bad. And, like Antona says right here, I don't know if I would say that I loved it, but it was definitely a damn solid remake. And I don't know if remake is even wholly a word you could use on it. It does borrow quite, quite a bit from the original film. There is one kill that is mirrored from the original film, and you guys probably know the one I'm talking about. The concept of a killer Santa Claus, they nailed it in this one. They what they did that I liked better is they didn't imply, what's the word? They employed the whodunit aspect. And anytime you can bring in a whodunit, that's another thing to get me on board there. Uh, Silent Night, another, I know, just you guys probably think maybe I'm giving these too high ratings. That's another 4-star flick for me there. Great kills, fun little. I don't know. I feel like the mystery could have been played up a little bit better. They didn't really give us enough, I felt, early on. But they did sort of play with this idea of an urban legend that may or may not tie into things there. This is a movie that's been out for 12 years, though, so I feel spoilers are something we could get into, but I'm not doing a whole in-depth thing on that right now. As for rewatches, Carnival of Souls from 1962. When I first started the channel, that was actually one of the first videos that I had done. And I did end up unlisting that video or making it private just because I'm not happy with the production of a lot of those early videos. But Carnival of Souls, an absolute favorite of mine. I have 2 copies of it. One is the Corridors of Evil, which is missing like 3 minutes of the film. I got another copy of it, which is still not quite the full cut, but it's like the 83 or 78-minute cut in that 50-pack of horror films. The stuff that they cut out in the Corridors of Evil cut, I noticed, was just like little character things, not too important. But if you're doing a watch along and the near 80-minute cut is one that you have, and you're doing like a watch along thing, you're going to be lost if you're watching those 2 cuts. You're going to have to be doing a lot of stopping, fast forwarding. I still want to get my hands on the Criterion collection of that. Oh, here we got a face that we have not seen around here in a minute. My buddy Robbie Sobel from Reviews and Rankings. Silent Night 2012 is underrated and not talked about enough. Yeah, dude, absolutely. And again, anytime you've got the Killer Santa, that's always fucking amazing. That's one I do want to check out. I was initially going to say no on that one because, again, the whole remake idea. But I saw that Shawnee Smith is in there, and it's like produced by Wes Craven. But Shawnee Smith was enough to get my attention to be like, I'll check this out. Still haven't watched it, but it's in the watch list now. I saw Carnival of Souls first time during lockdown, I think, and instantly loved it. Yeah, it does feel like a long version of a Twilight Zone episode for sure. We might have to do a watch along for that one of these days, man. I'll get my hands on that Criterion collection, and we'll have to schedule one of those if you're down. Let me know. You can shoot me a message now or after I get off here. But it definitely sounds like something we should do, because that sounds like it's right up our sort of conversation style. For those of you guys who don't remember too, by the way, Robbie and I, about 2 years, I think it was 2 years ago, we went through the first 4 Romero zombie films. Did some pretty badass watch-alongs for those. Those are still up here on the channel. Definitely go ahead and check those out. And I don't know if Robbie's still doing content on his channel, but go and check him out if you guys haven't. The dude has a very cool way of looking at stuff. But yeah, Carnival of Souls, that's one that I gotta revisit, I think, in video form. It's just some of that public domain beauty. An absolute easy film to watch. You could actually go to this film's Wikipedia page and watch it there. But don't let the public domain thing fool you. This is I don't know if creepy is the word I would use, but eerie. Eerie is, if I had to put it in one word, eerie is the way to describe Carnival of Souls. The way it ends is probably played out by today's standards, but I think for 1962, it probably had people walking out of the theater looking over their shoulder. You've got this whole idea of a stalker of sorts that may or may not even be. And it just plays on some pretty heavy themes of loneliness and mortality, and it's definitely one that I think deserves a very in-depth discussion. And the most recent rewatch that I could think of was, of course, Dazed and Confused on the 420 special watch party over at Movie Misfits. Those of you who were there, I had to come in a little bit late. Rented it on YouTube because I've only got here the VHS copy of it, the beautiful VHS of Dazed and Confused. I don't have a DVD or Blu-ray, but I think Criterion put out a version of this. That's probably the one I want to grab on that. But Dazed and Confused, dude, I absolutely fucking adore this film. It's usually pretty neck and neck with Detroit Rock City for me, and that might be a bit of a hot take, but you know what? I even might like Empire Records a little bit more than that one. And again, it's nostalgia, time and place when you saw the films. I know Chris is probably about to type something about "you blasphemous bitch" to me in the comments there, and I will accept that. Yes, it was perhaps quite the blasphemous statement. But those three films are all so damn good. They make you feel good. They all have that same kind of vibe. But yeah, Dazed and Confused, though, that one was a lot of fun to revisit. I did rewatch it after we did the live. And there was a point where we were talking about favorite cars in the film. And I sort of agreed with the general consensus that the Chevelle might be it. But upon rewatch and playing it back, I have changed my mind on that. And that would be Pink's El Camino. I'm a sucker for the El Camino, dude. It's like, is it a truck or is it a car? Like, where are you, man? But, it's a little car that you can fucking haul shit in. Like, you got the compact nature of a car and the versatility of a pickup. You can't go wrong with the El Camino. But that's a movie that, when we were talking about it, it's like, really, no matter what generation you're from, you can find some relatability to that. But I do fear that as time goes on, future generations probably will be able to connect less with sort of the characters and their sort of activity there. And I'm just happy to be among the most recent of generations that can look back and reflect and say, you know what? We did as much as we can to be like that film. I smoked as much weed as I can to be like that film. Trying to quote the great line from Sasha in that film as Dawson. Fucking damn it! I think his name was Dawson. That was his last name for sure. But all the characters in that film, dude, fucking a beautiful ensemble flick. I'm thinking about it. Like, because the two main Richard Linklater films that I know are that one and School of Rock. Of course, I know about Boyhood, haven't seen that. I can't remember if I was in the conversation yet at that point. But, yes, Dazed and Confused, hell yeah! I have the Dazed and Confused yearbook. It's a behind-the-scenes book that is laid out. Oh, dude, that sounds fucking dope. I like that. Well, I appreciate that, man. I was trying to remember the name of that one. And I like how that plays on another song title. Some Van Halen up in there. Is it a truck or a car, man? And I feel like I might have stole that line from that 70s show. I can't remember. It's like I'm at that point where it's like I haven't forgotten, but I don't quite remember either. But yeah, those were the recent watches, whether first time or revisiting. There were some other movies that I watched too, but didn't take note as to what they were. And the way I go through them sometimes, it's like, if I can't track them all, that's okay. But the big five that I revisited, these are all at least 4-star films. And that's, of course, Late Night with the Devil, Cemetery Man, Carnival of Souls, Dazed and Confused, Silent Night. Carnival of Souls and Dazed and Confused get 4.5 from me. The other three are at just a solid 4. Again, am I being too courteous with these ratings? Perhaps. But you know what? I enjoy them. If I don't like a film enough, unless it's part of a series, I probably won't talk about it. Because, what's the point? I mean, you could probably lambast and roast a film for clicks and views, but that's low-hanging fruit, man. Absolutely low-hanging fruit. On the watch list, though, that's probably something I'd have to go through is my Letterboxd watch list. That would probably be an interesting little video to just scroll through and just kind of show you guys what I still haven't seen and what I have logged as I want to see. That might blow some minds and flip some skirts. We'll have to see, though, but that sounds like it'd be fun. And another video idea that I had recently was, this came to me while I was actually looking at the reviews for Carnival of Souls on Shudder. I might have to do a sort of slightly comical reacting to Shudder comments. Because there were some in there that just made my fucking blood boil, man. It's like, I understand there's the subjectivity and opinions, but, I feel like donning a toxic sort of character. I feel like that could be a fun little video, like sort of a just for laughs type thing. Maybe that's low hanging fruit. I don't know, but that sounds like it could be fun. Again, dog screams slightly delayed. Recent watches. That's what we talked about this evening. If you're just now tuning in, if you are, just play back and watch it from the start. I had a good time. I know the guys in the chat seem to have had a pretty good time. Had a good amount of interaction. Definitely going to give it a shot, man. But yeah, that was the show tonight. Again, I try to keep these lives short, especially the late night ones, because I want to have a voice when I wake up. I don't want to wake up with a heavy chest because I talked for the last hour before I went to bed. But I want to thank you guys for coming in tonight, talking it up, discussing film, listening to me babble. However, Chris, Robbie, Antonis, thank you guys. As always, it's a pleasure. Go ahead and hit the little notifications and icons down there. Anybody who's just stumbling upon this, it doesn't cost a penny. Barely costs a second of your time to hit the little buttons down there. I would appreciate that. It would make a grumpy young aging man smile. There's probably a less creepy way I could say that, but it's like, share the love. It's free. Want to thank you guys for coming in. Whether you're new here or a returning viewer, I appreciate you guys all the same. You guys know what time it is. It's time to get on out of here. It's about to be midnight 30 in the Midwest. What do they say about them puppy dogs?
Dog wheel hunt! Get that bitch, Leatherface! Get that bitch! Dog wheel hunt!
I don't know about you guys, but that didn't look like it came out right on my side.
Dog wheel hunt! Get that bitch, Leatherface! Get that bitch! Dog wheel hunt!
There we go. That played perfect on my side. Again, I don't know how that looked out there, but you guys know, dog will hunt, dog will scream. I will see you in the next stream. Thank you as always. You guys have a good night, and I will see you in the next one. Let's get on out of here.